Hello and welcome to Let's Talk European Rugby Champions Cup Qualification, and I'll be talking about Challenge Cup and also the third tier competition that never really happened. I'm Paul, the guy behind Driving More, and thank you very much for joining me. If you're watching live, please feel free to put comments in, happy to discuss this. If you're watching the recording, then reply to my tweets or put comments below on YouTube, and I'm always up for a chat about rugby. So, Niall Hickey, not Niall Hickey, not Neil Hickey. Sorry, mate, got your name wrong. Yesterday, he asked for my thoughts on the rule in the Pro 12 that at least one team from every country has to qualify instead of just the top 7 qualifying. So, let's have a quick rewind about history and about what sort of happened over the last 3 years and the change from the Heineken Cup and Ameling Cup to the European Champions and Challenge Cups. So back in the old Heineken Cup days, there were 24 teams in the Heineken Cup, and we saw 2 teams from Scotland and also from Italy automatically qualifying into the Heineken Cup, and I can't remember the exact numbers for Scotland and Wales as well, but there were 24 teams that would go in there, and each country was guaranteed a number of places in the competition. The Ameling Cup underneath that was a 20-team competition as well, and that had 4 teams from outside the top professional leagues in it. So in the final year, there were 3 from Italy outside the Pro 12 and 1 from Belgium, I think it was. So that's just, I'll be coming back to that one later, which will be why I'm talking about that. But now the numbers in my head don't seem to add up. Never mind. We'll come back to that one afterwards. So back to this. So now what's the situation? So now the situation is we have 6 from France, 6 from England and the Aviva Premiership, and then 7 from the Pro 12, plus I think it's the winner of the competition getting entry as well. And then within the Pro 12 there has to be 1 from each country, so it's the first Welsh team, Irish team, Scottish team and Italian team, and then the next best 3 that go through. So what that generally means is that the top 6 go through plus 11th place for the Italian side. Now when this first happened, I thought that was a good idea on the ground, more from a financial and promotional view and expanding the game point of view, so that each country at least had some interest in that top competition and would want to put it on TV and people would actually want to watch it. Having seen now that basically what that means is that in the Champions Cup, the group that has the Italian team in pretty much automatically gets one of the best runner-ups, and it gives an unfair advantage to that group for qualification to the quarterfinals, because you've got 2 automatic 10 points try bonus point wins to these teams. What also so that's one side of it. The other side of it is, what are the Italian teams actually learning and gaining out of being thumped by the best teams around in Europe, rather than just playing sides that are slightly better than them and learning from those experiences and having a chance to do well. And so there are 2 sides to it: is A, the development side of Italy, and B, the unfair or inequality that they bring into the system by having such a weaker side within it. Now, personally, I think that that now, in retrospect, there should be some sort of minimum quality for the Italian sides, or for the sides to make it into the Champions Cup. Your only worry is, though, on the flip side of that is, what if not only did we lose all the Italian sides, but we also lost the 2 Scottish sides? So recently Glasgow have been very strong, obviously having won the Pro 12 recently, and have been up there. But that hasn't always been the case. And there could be a situation where you get the 4 Irish provinces up there, plus 3 Welsh regions, and meaning there's no Scottish representation in the Champions Cup either, which I think would be a disaster for the competition. Now, I say currently that doesn't look like being at risk or being an issue over the next few years. So I'm at the moment has swung from being pro having a team from each country towards teams from having the top 7 teams going into the Champions Cup. Also, what I would do is I would say that whichever country or whichever team wins it, one of those automatic places from the league applies to that team to go to qualify for the following year. That way, the champions always get to defend their title, which I think is important. But the team, that country doesn't sort of gain an extra spot. And the reason for that is I want to keep one spot free for the Challenge Cup winners to make it into the Champions Cup. And the reason for with sort of 6, 7 gets you up to your 19 teams from which is your top 6 from the top 14, top 6 from the Aviva Premiership, top 7 from the Pro 12, with the proviso that if the previous year's champions drop out of the top 6 or out of the qualification places, they get one of those qualification places. Now, the reason I want to give the Champions Cup automatic qualification into the Challenge Cup is twofold. One is to mean that the teams that are in the Challenge Cup make more of an effort and do send their top sides. Secondly is, I know it's a long shot, but is to give the teams that are in that competition outside of the top professional domestic competitions a chance of making it into the Champions Cup. So basically your NSIs or the Saracens side from Spain this year. Those sides, I think it would be fantastic if they ever manage to climb up. And I think whilst I don't see it happening, I think having the pathway and the opportunity to do so is an important thing for growing the game and for giving those teams something to shoot at. So one of the things that has disappointed me with the change from the Heineken Cup to the European Champions Cup is that when it was done, there was a promise of a third tier European competition for countries such as Russia, Georgia, Romania, etc., Spain, to compete in. And then the winner of that would get into the Challenge Cup the following season, and then if they won that, they could make it into the Champions Cup. And that would and I just like the idea that these teams have got a pathway to success and to become European champions, however unlikely it is to ever actually happen. So I'm very disappointed that they haven't followed through on their promise for that competition. Now, that competition is going to be a money drain. Okay, because these clubs are going to need to be funded to do the travel around this. It's not going to be a money spinner. I understand that, but I think it's a great way, and it's one of the things to grow and strengthen the game in those countries. So there's my views. Yes, I think the Pro 12 should be the top 7 qualifying. I think we've reduced the opportunities for teams outside the top 3 domestic competitions, as there are only 2 in the Challenge Cup now, whereas previously there were at least 4, but those numbers don't add up, so I think it should be more than that within the old Amelin Cup, and I think that we should be providing that pathway so that teams can go all the way up. So thank you very much for that. Do share this with your friends if you have enjoyed it. There is a link above which is to my Patreon account if you're watching on Twitter. It's in the notes below if you're watching on YouTube. Please help support me to produce more videos for you. You can sign up to give a monthly amount over to me. So if there's a little $1 a month, to help me fund doing this sort of stuff. It helps to pay, or if when I get enough of it, it'll help to pay my hosting fees, the various tools I use on this. Plus also maybe even help to put a roof over my head, which would be really kind of nice. So please do that, sign up for that. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and like it, give it the old thumbs up. It's always good to see. You can tap it if you're watching it on Periscope to give hearts, or share it with your friends on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back next week, and we'll follow up on the promised video talking about chiefs, the directors of rugby and head coaches being sacked, and then also I have a rant to do about the media and how they're handling Super Rugby. So thank you very much all for watching, and catch you next week. Enjoy whatever rugby you're watching this weekend. I'll be at the Blues vs the Force, Eden Park, so if you're going to be there, say hi.